What's up, people? It's your boy Kurt the Jerk saying what up. I hope everybody's doing great. Today we're gonna unpack Zohar Madani's mayor to elect Zohar Madani's policy, what he's gonna do with NYPD, and gather all the information I can get from my sources. What I mean sources, I mean Google. And my opinion, do I think it's gonna be effective? And I think for what people need to understand is that the model that he's doing, he's taking something from other states where they had some success. And, you know, time will tell if it'll work with New York City. So he's making, the Community Safety, Office of Public Safety or something like that, or Community Safety. And I think it'll be effective. I don't see it being something that can't work. I just think that he put the brightest minds on there. I think he can succeed in it, because a lot of people say, oh, he's going to defund the police, he's defunding and stuff like that. I'm like, nah, it doesn't look like it's defunding. It looks like restructure or redefine NYPD, make it more effective, given opportunities for police officers to do serious police crimes and not focus on all these mental health issues. You know, when you look at NYPD over 10 year strands, they spend billions of dollars and lawsuits, and some of them could have been solved because a lot of those cases were mental health cases. But because they was lost in the system due to our social safety net not working the way it's supposed to, you know, some of these people was homeless, some of these people had mental illness, some of them not getting their medication, and it was a big issue. So today I want to present my case on why I think that it might be effective. I could be wrong. You know, I don't have all the answers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all for entertainment purposes. And please like and share and subscribe with your friends and family. And then now we're going to unpack into the things that I think that how it's going to be effective. First thing, let me add this to the stage. We're going to remove this, add this. Okay, matter of fact, I'm going to make the screen full. Okay. Let me see some. We're going to make it full real quick. Just give me a minute. All right, so I'm going to look at the same thing you guys are looking at. This is from Brad Lander's office. You know, he's a New York controller currently right now, right? And basically, it talks about Rikers Island, right? Because that's one of the ways we spend so much money. I don't think we need to get rid of the whole entire Rikers Island, but I think we need to reduce it. And I think that we need to do more assessments of the inmates in there, because a lot of them are in there. Some of them have mental issues, from what it seems, but they get lost to the system because they constantly repeat offenders, so they go back and forth in the system and all that. And when you look at it, it says the annual cost of incarceration, just one person, is $556,000. So an incarcerated person stay there for 1 year, because it's a county jail. It's the largest one of the largest county jails in the world. So you can't stay there forever. But it's $556,000. You know, so that means it's $1,500 a day. Don't you know, with the Obamacare insurance or whatever health subsidies, you only right now will pay around $600 or $700 for inpatient for a month. That's how much it costs for inpatient, $600 or $700. It might put a strain on the healthcare system, but we need to balance this thing out somehow, because I think the city's spending too much money. This is where a lot of money's going. And in my opinion, I think what Zohar is going to do is, since he's getting the brightest mind on the job, they're going to be audit all these departments, and they're going to see where money's being spent that shouldn't be spent. Because, you know, there's a lot of buddies, handshakes under the table, and there's a lot of corruption. We see with Eric Adams' administration was a lot of corruption, so that's part of the issue right there. But this is serious right here. Think about it. $500,000. You got people that don't even make $500,000 in a year, but we spend $500,000 as taxpayers in New York City for each inmate that's incarcerated for a year in Rikers Island. That's nuts. That has to change. I see why they was trying to break it away, because it would have saved some money if all cities try to handle their own population. But nevertheless, his community safe, Office of Public Safety, I think that would be very effective. And the reason why I would think would be a very effective because let me get myself up there real quick. Now, the reason why I think it would be effective is because he's going to have a lot of social workers in there. And what they're going to do is not only answer nonviolent calls for NYPD, because what he said, and I did research, is right. They get around 200,000 calls a year. So that'll be 200,000 calls, or maybe 100-something thousand calls they don't have to respond to because they have the public safety that's going to go address that. And what we got to do is try to get these people, the people that's committing these crimes, the ones that have mental health issues, which is many of them, we need to address their situation before they get into the criminal system. You know, I think that's what Office of Public Safety is going to do. Like for people that didn't even go to jail yet, but you're able to reach out to them, give them the services, the resources they need, and they need to be inpatient, or if they need an outpatient model where, or even a live-in where it's like a clubhouse type of theme where they have other people in there that have similar situations to them where they can go and come and they stay there and they get the mental help they need. And from what I was told, it's very successful. It's been becoming very successful. It's a good model. So that's one good model. So Zohan Mamdani said he's not going to defund the NYPD, and I believe him, because what he's going to do is allow police officers that's currently there, because he say he don't mind with the amount of people that's in the police force right now. So he want to hire social workers now, Office of Public Safety. But I think to make the union happy, the NYPD union, the PBA union, put them all under the same umbrella. So even though it might be a different department, probably not located in the, any precincts, it could still be under NYPD's jurisdiction since they're gonna work together anyway. And at least it won't feel like defunding because they all part of the same system. It's just like you created something new. It's like you create a new division. Because other states has been doing it and it's been successful. You know, so we need to start doing things now. I think it's time for us to stop putting band-aids on situations, because when I was listening to the other candidates, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna deploy more police officers." That's not what the city needs. It needs more mental health therapists, mental health professionals. I'm sorry, and for some people that need medication, get them the medication they need. And instead of these homeless people just sleeping on the street, no, we need to get professionals out there to get them the help they need. Like, hey, maybe you need inpatient or maybe you need outpatient, but one way or another, we got to get you out of here. You can't be sleeping in the subways, you know. But when you speak to the homeless, because I worked I did volunteer services before, feeding the homeless, and one of the things I learned, they said that the shelters are so unsafe, it feels like it's prison. Meaning that you can get hurt in there, things can happen to you, so it's so unsafe. So they rather take their chances on the street. So that's why a lot of them are not sleeping in the shelter, because they think the shelter is very dangerous. So that's another issue that need to be addressed, because they should, if you need the help you need, you should be able to go in there and not worry about getting hurt in the shelter, because it's supposed to be a place where everybody needs to get their stuff together. So you shouldn't have to worry about getting hurt in there. So I think they got to create a system for that. But nevertheless, a lot of this stuff is mental health anyway, so it got to get addressed somehow. So I don't think that, like I said, I don't think he's going to defund. I don't think he's going to defund NYPD. I just think he's going to transform it. He's going to make it something else. You know, we got currently 32,000 police officers. I remember when it was around 37,000 cops. So cops are leaving because of mandatory overtime, right? That's been the issue. And I did my own study. A lot of these cops, none of them want to come public because obviously they're public service, so they can't go public. And I know I got a lot of friends as police officers too. So I did a study, like in my own little assessment. I talked to 30 different cops, right? And at least 80% of them had the same opinion. It was like they hate the fact that, you know, because a lot of them have 4-day shifts, right? And then they off for a couple of days, like 3 days, like 4 on, 3 off or something like that. But a lot of times they get mandated to work extra, and that's where they get angry, because they're like, "Dad, this is not what I signed up to do, all this overtime. I got a family. I want to spend time with my family. I want to go places. But I don't know if I've got mandatory overtime or not." So I get it, and I understand the circumstances and the need to change. But that's the current situation right now, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people have a lot of NYPD officers have a disdain for their own the police department, because they don't want to work all this unnecessary overtime. You know, so given this program will eliminate, it's not gonna take away all the overtime, but it's gonna eliminate overtime where it could, I believe, in good reason, it's gonna be reasonable, where a lot of police officers don't feel overbearing with all this situation. They'll have an opportunity to be able to take a couple of days off at a time when they want to, you know, I mean when they need to and stuff, and not because their department is mandatory, you know, mandatory giving them extra hours that they don't want. You know, everybody wants to make money, don't get me wrong, but there's limitations to it, right? So, and I want everybody to give Zohar Mamdani a chance. You know, he's a socialist, and a lot of people say, oh, he's a communist and all that. I'm gonna make a video about that, because I think a lot of people don't understand socialists and communists. But I will say this: you need both. There's nothing wrong with I'm sorry, I said communist. You need both. You need capitalism, and you also need socialism to work together, intertwine, where there's a healthy balance. Like, everybody needs checks and balances, and the government's supposed to check businesses when they get out of line, because they, you know, these corporations will overdo it with advertisement and scamming and all that stuff. So we need our government to operate as a government where it checks big businesses so they won't take advantage of the consumers. So there's need to be a healthy balance. I'm not saying capitalism is a bad thing. I just think it doesn't work in New York, because, you know, a lot of people, if you ask anybody, they say everything's so expensive, right? But like I said, I'm gonna make a whole video about that. That's a whole big topic right there. So pretty much what it looks at, when you look at the annual reports, I'm gonna go to the annual reports now. That's what I wanted to show next. Let me see. Annual reports look kind of crazy and stuff. New York pays too much money, and they pay too much money in civil suits and stuff like that. We gotta fix that. Let me see, I'm gonna go to the annual reports right now. Okay, so we're at the annual reports. Let's take a look at it real quick. It's pretty interesting. I'm like, ooh, I don't like this too much. Okay, so this is Brad Lander's annual report. You know, he's a controller, like I stated before. You can go here to controller.nyc.gov, and you could be able to obtain all the same information I'm looking at right now. So this is not me just talking out my behind or randomly saying stuff. This is right here. This is what the settlement's been filed when you look at it like this. That's the graph, how it's broken down. Look at all these claims, 33, 33, 30. It's like all it stayed in the 30s all the way up. Then it got low in the 20s, and then it went back up to the 30s in 2023. And pretty much we paid over $1 billion a year, stuff like that. NYPD alone has some of the biggest claims, where they spent a significant amount of money in claims and lawsuits and stuff like that. So I think to some extent NYPD is defunding itself. If we want to be honest, I think NYPD to some extent is defunding itself, and the only way to get around that, they need to have public safety so they can handle those calls. So I believe by them having public safety that handles certain things, I think that it would minimize their lawsuits. So it's not, so there won't be so much defunding themselves. Because when you look at Chicago paid 10 billion, what, 10 or 12 billion I think it was. Don't get me wrong, I think the number, I might be off with the numbers, but they paid around 10 to 12 billion dollars in lawsuits. Think about that much money could have went towards resources and programs in those neighborhoods. And I think at this point, him being a mayor, I think he's gonna start allocating more resources to the poor neighborhoods. Because if you allocate more resources to these neighborhoods, it'll be less crime. Less crime meaning it'll be less strain for the police officers, and it won't be so bad. We oftentimes always want to put band-aids on situations instead of addressing why these situations are the way they are. Like, why is the hood the way it is? What's going on in the hood that why I keep on having these criminals do all these type of crimes? Well, when you do the statistics, when you look at prison, and I spoke about this in one of my previous videos, the average education level is what, 4th grade or something like that, 3rd grade education. That's horrible, you know what I'm saying? Because the less education you got, right? The less education you lack, the less productive you will be as a citizen to society. So that's very important that we need to focus on the education and a comprehensive education. Something that's great. And I think, in my opinion, and I don't want to get all way off subject, but I think they need to add financial literacy to the education system. I'm talking about a real deep dive into it, not some surface information. And I think they need to put that into the high school curriculum. And it shouldn't be for some charter schools or private schools that dives into financial literacy. It should be an actual public school, because most of the kids still go to public school, so they should definitely do that for it. So it would be less cops, less police officers have to arrest people because they're getting the services they need at a young age, and I think we need to start addressing these things before they happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like getting a time machine, going back in the future back in the past to fix the problems so there won't be issues in the future, But in this case, our youth, the kids, they're our future, right? So we need to do right by them so they can do right by us later on in life. So I think that's the focus. But back to public safety, I think that's going to be effective, because he's not just helping them. And obviously, and sometimes police officers have to be present for some of the mental health situations to go to all these cases. But that would reduce the idea that it could be some type of criminal negligence on the police officers, and meaning that they end up shooting the suspect or some type of issue happens. Having a trained professional there for mental health will make the situation much better. And I think naturally when people see a police officer, they get a little roused up anyway. So seeing a mental health professional, regular plain clothes, come there, probably just have an ID, it makes them probably feel more at ease, and they don't feel like they have to worry about getting arrested, and they probably open up faster. But having both sometimes is necessary if there's a potential violent situation, because we don't want to put public safety agents in harm's way. So there's a lot that's going on right now, and I think it could work. Give Zohar Mamdani the opportunity to make this situation work. He got the smartest minds. He got very experienced people. Look at his transition team. I think it's great. I think Leah Khan is great. She's good for business. She was the Federal Trade Commission, and she did audits on big corporations that was throwing gouges against consumers. So she's a great individual that's gonna do a lot of good. I think she's gonna do great. She's not motivated by money like a lot of other people are. And right now we're just trying to see if Jessica Tish is gonna jump on board with Mamdani's team, because apparently she's doing good with keeping crime down as much as she can with the resources she has. But we see how that works out, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, her family donated to Cuomo's I could be wrong, but that doesn't define who she is or how she feels about the whole situation. That could just be her family. So we see what happens, right? So I didn't want to make this video long. I just wanted to point out a few things that I was seeing, because a lot of people say, oh, he gonna defund the police. And no, he's not defunded. He's transforming it. He's gonna try to make it easy for them. And who knows, with everything being done, the current police officers that's on duty can get more money. Now they can say, hey, you know what? The police department's cut down to this amount. How about we give you all guys raises or something like that? Because I think police department, especially NYPD, they don't get paid enough. I see these small towns, these officers getting paid $130,000, $140,000. NYPD has to do overtime to do that. So I think they deserve to get paid more. So I think NYPD deserve to get a raise, because they have a tough job out there. We got a bunch of crazies. So that's why we need Mamdani to go in there and get the crazies off the street, get the service they need. I'm just joking. I don't want nobody getting pissed off with me calling people crazy. I'm a little mentally ill my damn self. So everybody's, I'm not, my shit don't go to the top floor. But I'm gonna let you guys go. I didn't want to make this video long. I just wanted to point out a few things and give you Kurt the Jerk's opinion on what he thinks about what Zohar Mamdani is gonna do. And it look like he'll do it, and it look like he'll be effective. People don't be scared. He's not a communist. He don't have a power of a communist. A communist has power where they can control everything. Zohar Mamdani is just a mayor. He's not even a governor. Like, give the guy some grace, you know what I'm saying? And see how it works for you. and we can have this conversation 6 months later and tell me what you think he's doing so far, if he's doing a good job or not. All right, peace, and everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day.